I'm Bonnie. I have a yoga class for you today. This class we're going to do poses that really focus on opening up the low back and the hips. So if you're experiencing tightness in those areas, this will hopefully be a great practice for you. Let's go ahead and start seated on our mats. So come on down, and we're just going to turn sideways. And find a position where you can ground through the feet, hold behind the legs, and just lift up onto the sitting bones. And you may even want to reach underneath and really try to get onto the sits bones themselves and feel that grounding of the hips into the mat. If it's a struggle at all here to sit up tall, try to use those arms a little bit more to lift you up. And let's just start with some breathing today. So as we inhale, it's always through the nose, that full expansion, deep into the belly. And exhale, just let it all go. And use this time with our breath to just set an intention for our practice to be open, to meet ourselves where we are. Know that if you're coming into a place, we're dealing with a tight area, sometimes we just assume things are going to go a certain way. So just letting go of assumption. And really take this opportunity just to check in. And then from this position, allow yourself to round down, and you can place your hands down toward the feet. You might even cradle around and grab the elbows, one on each side, and just let your head drop down. And try to feel that connection of the belly into the thighs as we breathe in and out. Release tension in any area that we can. I can tell my shoulders like to hunch up, so think of drawing those down, letting the head be heavy. And just use each breath as an opportunity to deepen the pose. And just keeping our poses simple today so we have time to really kind of find the nutrients of our practice. Just slow down and just feel and notice the body. And then bring ourselves up and take and extend the legs out in front. Now, feel free to keep a generous bend in the knees here if you need to. If you're able to sit tall and still go to a straight leg, feel free, keeping the feet flexed. At any point, just soften into those knees here. So find that sense of lift. We're going to take our right arm and sweep it back behind us, taking an inhale. And exhale, reach to the outside of the left leg or foot, folding over. And then sweep the left arm, inhale up, and exhale, sweep it around to the right. And not worrying about making this look a certain way, but just go for movement and really what feels good on your body. Sweeping up. You can take whatever rhythm works for you. Opening and reaching. Good, and then come on up and find a seated forward fold, just either taking the hands down by the sides, onto the legs, maybe eventually to the feet. And just back to that rounded shape, just letting things go. Feel the connection into the sits bones, maybe even inching them back a little further with each breath. Not worrying about what the shape looks like, but more about what it feels like. And slowly draw ourselves up. And place the hands behind, fingers forward. Stepping the feet in so they're flat. We're just going to draw our hips forward a little bit more toward the feet and walk the hands in. And you can just take this shape really as kind of tight in as you're able to go. And again, just rock kind of side to side on those sitting bones. And back the hips away. Walk the hands back and press into the hands to send the knees forward and open up the front of the hips. So rolling the shoulders back, chest up, all toes pressing into the floor. And lower the hips down. And once again, pick up the hips, slide forward, glutes as close to heels as you can, and then prop up to the hands or the fingertips, and just lift through the chest. Walk the hips back. Once again, just pick them up, slide them, and press up into tabletop. Knees stretch forward, hips lift, glutes engage, open up through the collarbones. And lower the hips down to the mat. So I'm going to face forward as we go through a series of kind of deepening that, some more hip openers here. We're going to cross our right ankle over the left thigh. And you can have that bottom leg out as far away from you as you need to. We want to flex that top foot to protect the knee joint here. And I do have my hands back like I did before. So we are going to go through a progression here. Feel free at any point. If this feels just really amazing to you right here, I encourage you to stay with this. So foot is flexed. I'm just going to take a little rocking. I find that moving in poses can be helpful in terms of release as opposed to a static hold. And if you need to do something else in terms of hand placement, you can go to fingertips or take them wider, or even recline back to the elbows if you need to at any point. So from here, I'm going to come back to center and draw my foot in, and also pick my hips up and slide closer. So what you're trying to do, kind of like we did before, is bring the heel as close to the glutes as we can. And then try to lift through the torso, so either up to the fingertips if you can, or flat hands, and open up that shape. So I'm rolling the shoulders back, lifting, still grounding through the sitting bones, and rock if you need to. Very good. Now walk the hips back a few inches away and let that front heel come out slightly. And we're going to take our hands, one on the foot, one on the knee, and just cradle, lifting it up and rocking here. You might work yourself eventually to a place where you go elbow or foot in the elbow crease, knee in the elbow crease, draw up and in, and the bottom leg can inch its way out straight or stay bent. And just add that gentle rocking side to side here. Inhaling and exhaling as we go. Try to keep the foot lifted level with the knee, and then draw the knee up toward the body. Wonderful. Now let go, cross it back over, and we're going to stretch our arms up overhead and come forward into just a seated forward fold. Placing the hands wherever works for you, onto the leg, the shin, maybe toward the foot, releasing tension. And then bringing ourselves up, uncross, and we will switch sides. So place the hands behind, bend the knees in, and we're going to cross the left ankle over the right thigh, flexing that foot, and just rock it out. So right now I have distance between my seat and my foot. And watching our shoulders, we want to keep pressing and lifting. So in terms of hip and low back, we want to try to keep the length in our spine as much as possible. But gentle reminder to listen to your body. And come to center. Remember, this is a great feeling pose. Stay right here. If you wish to intensify, step heel to glute, glute to heel. And walk the hands in maybe, keeping the foot flexed, and rock side to side here. Or just work on that lift of the torso, drawing your shape kind of as tightly in as you can. And just notice, are the hips still down? Do they kind of find their way up? And as we do things that are two-sided, just try to meet yourself where you're at on both sides, which can be hard, as opposed to trying to make your sides match each other. And we're going to place the hands down and walk that shape out a bit, grabbing onto the foot or knee, picking it up with the shin level with the ground, inching that bottom leg out if you want, and rocking here. Figure out a grip that works for you. Remember, foot to elbow crease, knee to elbow crease, but keep that lift through your torso as you rock, or any combination of hand placement. And mind your sides will perform differently, and just accept those differences, allow them to happen. And come to center, place the ankle over the thigh, and reach up, overhead, inhale, exhale, seated, forward fold. Deep breath into the back body. Feel it expand all the way through the belly. Exhale, let it go. And then draw it on up. Now facing forward, we're going to step our feet down. And this time turn the toes slightly out. And come up to the fingertips and see if you can transition to hands in front. Now more than likely that's going to require a lifting of your heels. And we're just gonna do that. We're just gonna rock in this little froggy position here. So dropping one heel down at a time, kind of inching the knees outward. And if you find this to be too much as you transition, you can always come up a little bit higher and rock there. And maybe find your way down eventually. So from here, keeping the toes turned out, we're gonna think about trying to reach our heels to the mat and bring our hands in front using the knees or the elbows to gently press the knees and lift through the chest into our low yogi squat here. So try to keep the weight even on the feet, lift through the chest and the heart, and most importantly, find your breath. And then we're going to place the hands on the floor, pick up the heels, point them backwards, so parallel feet, and just come into a deep standing fold. Generous bend in the knees. Allow the chest to really come toward the thighs. You can hook the hands behind, let the head hang down. And just really feel that kind of belly to thigh connection, lifting up through the tailbone. And then we'll release the hands down and lower those hips. And as the hips come down, feel free to let the heels lift and rock back and forth. So this frog's a very deep hip stretch. Reminder, you don't have to stay still. Find a variation that works for you. And then we'll come to that heels down pose. Hands come in, heart center lifts up. So pressing the hands together, using the elbows to gently press out through the knees, keeping the arches of the feet active, so weight is back. And we lift. And then place the hands down, pivot, point the heels back, legs parallel, and come into a deep forward bend. Bend at the knees, lift the tailbone, and just hang forward. Ground through the feet and slowly roll yourself up to a tall standing position. Taking some of this hip opening into some balance work now. We're gonna stand on our right leg and cross the left leg over. You can go low with the toes down if at any point you feel like you need that extra support. Try to cross just under the knee, or we're gonna come up to where we were in that seated figure 4 position. Now from here, pivoting or hinging right at the hip, we're gonna send our hips back and down. Foot is flexed as before to protect the knee. Let's go ahead and place the hands there. And just sink a little further back, reaching the hips. Now you can follow along, stay here wherever you're at. So we continue to stretch the hips, but also work on strengthening. If you choose to follow along, we're gonna reach down toward the earth, and you can go fingertips, drop the head, bend the knees even further. Really feeling a deep stretch through that hip, creating heat and work in the standing leg. really working strength here, transition, picking the hands off, grabbing the leg, and see if we can't bring it with us as we rise to a standing position. And step to release and shake it out. So coming back to our beginning with setting intention, we know that this can be a challenging series. Really letting go of expectation as we move to the other side and just meet ourselves where we're at today. So come to that low place, and maybe you're just working on a kind of a one-legged squat here, and that's wonderful. You can pick it up or bring it just above the knee, foot flexed. And then place the hands. Sending the hips back and down as we bend that standing leg. Coming into that deep squat position. Connect into the breath, and as you feel ready, we're going to take it forward. Fingertips can come down, head lowers. And deepen that knee bend. And then check in with the balance, ground through the foot as we lift up, placing the hands, pressing into that standing leg as we ground down through the floor, lifting up, trying to bring our shin up level with our mat. And releasing all the way down. Beautiful job. We're going to now come to the back edge of our mat, reaching our arms up overhead, deep stretch in. Exhale, take a forward fold. And once again, just check in here. Really feel free, I encourage you to take a generous knee bend. Try to get that chest to thigh connection to lift up through the tailbone here. And if you're able to plant the hands as well, take and shift weight forward a little and then rock back by really lifting the tailbone. And just notice the change in stretch as you shift weight and where the weight is on the feet, how that affects the legs. And let's take one more here. And then looking forward, placing the hands a few inches ahead, lower the knees down. Bring the big toes together and flat, take the knees out about mat width apart and send the hips back. And walk the hands out into our child's pose. And just reach your forehead, even your chest, toward the mat. Send the hips back into the heels. And find your breath. Now slowly raise up, come onto the elbows into a frog pose. Knees come a little bit wider, and you're going to step the feet so that they line up under the knees on either side. And you can inch your knees out a little further. Make sure the belly stays lifted here, back flat, and we're going to rock forward and rock backward. So you can tell pretty quickly that the rocking back is where that stretch is. It gets pretty intense. So take it at a level that works for you. And if you want to hold it, you certainly may. Be mindful about the length of the spine here and avoid just collapsing. Really think length from crown to tail. Flexing those feet, keeping them active. And to come out of this one, walk up onto the hands and then step one leg in and the other. Crossing at your ankles, just shift back onto the hips, feet in front, and back to where we started class. So in that tall seated posture, grounding down through the sitting bones. And just place your hands where it's comfortable for you, checking in, maybe with the accessibility of this pose, how it feels now versus when we started. Just if you feel more lifted or open, or maybe just more aware. So come down to your back, so grab behind the legs and roll down. And then release. We're gonna step the knees in and cross the right thigh over the left. Allow the knees to fall to one side. And you can turn your head if you want. Don't force this at all, just settle in. Taking deep breaths, anchoring the shoulder blades. And just with intention, draw the abdominals in to come back to center. Uncross the legs and take the left thigh over the right. Scoot your hips toward the left edge of the mat as your hips fall opposite. Anchor the shoulder blades and gently turn your head toward the left. And engage through your center to bring the legs back. Uncross. And then take and hug the knees into chest, curling the head, neck, and shoulders up to really create that long spine, nice stretch through the low back. And then ending with a happy baby pose, you're going to open the knees. You can reach to the insteps of the feet or the outside, really your choice, whatever feels best to you. And you want to lift so that the heel stacks over the knee. And the heel stacks over the knee, and then resting down. So we're pulling gently down and also open with our hands. And definitely feel free to explore this pose, maybe a gentle roll side to side. Or just kind of the heavying of the shoulder blades into the mat, the lengthening of our neck. And just feel the length from crown to tail. Let the feet come together and slowly step to the floor. And take the legs out long. And just let the hips fall open. Place one hand up on the heart, one on the belly. Feel the warmth of the hands, feel the breath against them as well, taking deep inhales. Very slow, complete exhales. Release your arms at any time. And feel free to stay in this practice of relaxation. Just letting the body release, letting the breath take over. As you do work to come out of the pose, just gently move the body, wiggling your fingers, toes, rocking the head side to side. And then you can draw knees into chest, come into that stretch again, drawing the head up, hugging the knees in. And take a gentle rock and roll as we come up. And as always, thank you for taking time and joining me today. I hope you were able to gain just some opening and maybe some relief from the hips and low back from your practice. Thanks for taking the time, and I will see you next time.